What is going on, guys? Chris here from Adamantium Productions, and yo, these new cameras coming out are crazy. It's so fascinating to see how technology just gets better and better and better and better, and it's really hard to even believe sometimes. Obviously, based on the title, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and if you're in the camera world, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Canon R5 and the Canon R6. Now, I've made some videos about them before, talking about, you know, the rumors, but Canon finally announced them and they are crazy, especially the Canon R5. I mean, full frame 8K RAW with autofocus and C-Log in camera, and the camera is like the same size as the Canon EOS R. That's just, what? 4K at 120 frames per second, also full frame? What? And like, first of all, just the RAW already in a camera, in a body that size? So yeah, this is some crazy news and super exciting news. But there are some things that are going through my head. One, and based on Monkey Pixel's video that was actually really good, saying about the bads could be about the Canon R5. One thing is the file sizes. Obviously, it's gonna destroy hard drives. It's gonna be super heavy, especially in the 8K and the 4K at 120 frames per second. That's just gonna be crazy. So yeah, in terms of storing all that, that's sick. That's gonna be crazy. It's supposed to have the same bit rates as the 1DX3, which raises the question to me, why would anyone get the 1DX3 right now? I don't know, I just don't see what the advantage is. Because the R5 has higher megapixels, shoots faster, better video, and it costs less. So I don't really know why anyone would get the 1DX3 now. But anyways, one thing that's a little bit worrying about this camera and kind of confusing is really the market for it. I mean, there are a lot of prosumers, you know, hybrid shooters like myself who want, you know, the best quality, but in like a small package. This is gonna, the cost to shoot with this camera is gonna be crazy. So much so that it's reaching into cinema camera budgets like the C200s. Granted, this is shooting 8K and all that fancy stuff, but in terms of storing the footage and editing it, you need a powerful computer to edit this stuff. I don't really know who this camera is really meant for. I mean, granted, I want it, of course. You know, 8K seems a little gimmicky, you know, 8K, no one really shoots much in 8K unless you're MKBHD, and YouTube obviously doesn't give the best rendition of 8K, and especially because Canon has proven to us that super sharp footage isn't necessary. And watching Peter McKinnon's video showing this 8K and 4K at 120, it still has that Canon smoothness to it. You know, Canon has high resolutions, but they still keep it smooth. Like my 1080p looks like, it honestly looks like a 4K, but like smoothened out so that, you know, you don't see all the pores in my skin and all that stuff. So 8K, okay, a bit gimmicky. 4K 120, that's really exciting. That's something I really want. And oof, 4K 120. I used to shoot on the GH5 and 4K 60 was my favorite camera setting. It had the 1080p 180, but I didn't really use that. I've always wanted to shoot 120 frames per second, but the cameras I've used have only had a pretty soft 120 frames per second, like the Canon EOS R. The GH5s was, okay, A7S II, so this is super exciting, 4K 120. Woo! But yeah, and for the price tag of $3,900, it's in that area, you know, it's pretty affordable for what it's giving you. Granted, the fact that there's speculation about it overheating, because obviously 8K video and 4K 120 in a body that small is kind of demanding on whatever processor is inside the camera. I mean, if you think about it, 8K is the same resolution in a RED camera, 8K RAW, and the RED camera has big fans inside keeping the sensor cool, but this doesn't. So there's limitations on the recording time. I think Canon announced about 20 minutes of recording, so you know, that's something to take into consideration. But yeah, 4K 120, that's exciting. Now moving on to the R6, and I think that's the camera that suits me a little bit more in terms of how I shoot now. The advantage of the R5 is that you're kind of future-proofing yourself because it has all the features that the R6 has, but the R6 is exciting because it has the full-frame 4K, which is something I've really wanted in the Canon EOS R. It has the full-frame 4K 60 that I wish the Canon EOS R had, because honestly, the modes I shoot the most are 1080p 24 and 1080p 60, so having both of those just upscaled to 4K is just great. Honestly, the cropped 4K in this camera, I never use it. And it's supposed to have 1080p at 120 frames per second, which is really good. I'm used to 1080p now, so if they can give that kind of 1080p crispness with the buttery 120 frames per second, that should be really exciting and something that I should really look forward to. Next thing, Ibis. Both of these cameras have Ibis, and that is something I've dreaded and I really wish that Canon EOS R had. It has, I don't want to say ISIS, but it has digital image stabilization with the sensor, so it crops into the sensor a little bit and stabilizes it electronically, but that's not the same as Ibis. Ibis is steadier, as well as it doesn't crop in and you don't lose any focal length. So Ibis, extremely exciting. But if you compare Ibis on the Canon R6 with 4K 60, with a stabilized lens, oof, imagine how buttery that footage is. We may not even need gimbals anymore at this point. So yeah, both of these cameras are extremely exciting. I'm super excited because they have, you know, Canon's color science, C-Log, and it just has everything that you would need, which kind of makes me question, what is Sony gonna come out with? What A7, what is it, A7, what A7S3 can compete with this? I mean, that should be extremely exciting. I mean, Sony has been leading in these hybrid mirrorless cameras since the Canon EOS R didn't even have full frame in 4K. I mean, for Sony, that's nothing. So the A7S3's hopefully it's gonna pack a punch. I mean, maybe it's gonna have 4K 60, maybe it's gonna even have 4K 120, full frame like the R5. I don't know what Sony's planning. I hope they're planning something big. I love when these camera companies battle to make better cameras for us and we just, you know, get to pick and choose which one we want. So I hope that's enough. I hope I didn't talk for too long. And yeah, I'm super excited. I really want both. I really want either. They're both a huge step up to my Canon EOS R. And honestly, and I've been looking for a solid B camera, but in this case, if I purchased one of those, this would become my B camera. And whew, man, this is exciting. I love when cameras come out. I love when camera gear comes out. All this stuff is just, I mean, it just makes me wonder what's gonna come out in 5 years from now. I mean, granted, in 5 years, I'm gonna be 25, but man, this is just exciting stuff. One new piece of gear I got, or kind of exchanged, hold on. I decided to opt from the 70-200 that I used before to the Canon 85mm f1.8. Now, obviously you can see this is a really big element. This lens lets in a lot of light, and that's kind of what I got it. The 70-200 did not let in enough light, as well as I didn't really use that full range and it was kind of heavy. So 85 prime, super sharp, super fast, and I'm super excited for it. And one thing that I wonder if they're gonna keep with this R5 and R6 is the battery grip, because I have the battery grip for the Canon EOS R, and it comes on and off the camera depending on what I'm shooting. When I go out for a photo shoot, I like to take it because it allows me to shoot horizontally with the Canon EOS R. And then sometimes when I'm vlogging, like the last vlog I did, it kind of made the camera a little bit too heavy. So it really depends what I'm shooting and what the scenario is. But I'm not really sure. Maybe the R6 will keep it, but I don't think the R5 will keep the same battery grip. Because I hope so, because this was a little expensive. But man, oh man, camera gear, camera gear, camera gear, camera gear. Some exciting stuff, guys. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Chris here from Adamantium Productions. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and please subscribe. It's free to subscribe, and it helps me out a lot. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment letting me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.